What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the CheckSwing podcast with myself, the brains and brawn of the situation, Mr. Coach Santa, and the Hall of Famer, Mr. Rob Battle. What's going on, fellas? How y'all been?
Been amazing.
Coach Santa, you have to unmute yourself because you muted yourself on your own and I can't unmute you.
I did not.
You definitely did. I saw it when you did it. I saw it when you did it.
Whatever.
Got eyes on everything. Well, look, we got a how you been, Coach Santa? Because we didn't hear what you said.
Hot and cranky. It sucks when you take public transportation home and one of your buses has no air.
Ooh.
And one open window.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Like the Northeast days.
Yes. I was gonna like after football practice.
Hop on the bus.
Hop on the bus. We would stop at that food store across the street and get like a dozen moon pies and chocolate milks. Yes, ice cream sandwiches. Absolutely.
Sandwiches. Yeah, that was a good day.
That might be enough for me to say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and drive to work for a few days while this heat wave with this no air conditioned bus and one window.
Yeah.
I might have to drive to work one of them days or all of them days, but more power to you, Coach Sam. More power to you.
It's different out here, man. I hate the cold, and I'm never really one to fuss too much about the heat. You know, I work out in the heat. I remember after I graduated from Drexel, you know, we used to work out during the summer like crazy. I remember coming home for the summer to work out. I remember going to the gym because I work out at Drexel, and there's a sign on the door talking about the weight room's closed because of the heat. I'm like, man, pussies. Like, come on. But this heat right here, boy.
One of my colleagues at work, and I won't put them out there, but she said this was slave heat.
It's different. It's definitely hitting different.
Listen, I tell you what, if the enslaved folks had to they were working out there in this type of heat and all types of hours. Oh my Lord. Just imagine. I don't even want to get into that because that's not what the show's about today. That's another show for another day. But just thinking about it, good Lord. Today's the day we got some things to talk about. The Major League All-Star game is just less than a week away. I think it's next week. Was it next Tuesday, Miguel?
Yes, sir.
Next Tuesday. Oh, a week away. Today's Tuesday. So it's a week away. And the Phillies, it's 7 days away. The Phillies got 7 players in the All-Star game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The topic has come up. It's very early, but the topic has come up. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Rookie of the Year. That conversation is starting to happen. So I know Angel Reese is one of Rob's favorite players. So, you know, we might dabble into that conversation a little bit because, you know, I think she might have heard what you said, Rob, and said, you know what, I need to step it up. And, you know, but we'll get into that. We got a big dummy. We got a big dummy. We mentioned them a little bit last week, but I think we might go into a little bit more. The New York Giants are on Hard Knocks, y'all. The New York Giants.
Your New York Football Giants.
And Quincy Wilson. Miguel, I'm glad you added this because, you know, Quincy Wilson, as we know, you know, we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to ask you when we get into that, Miguel, remind me, don't let me forget. I want to know what the coverage has been like for Quincy Wilson in your area where you are, because, of course, he's from that Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. He's from the DMV, or at least goes to school down there. I believe. I'm assuming he's from there. So I'm sure, you know, he's probably been all over the news and stuff like that. People want to talk to him. They're excited for, you know, his accomplishment. And, you know, we want to get into that, but I want to hear what the coverage has been like too. But I want to start off the show by talking about the Phillies. I'm going to start off the show by talking about the Phillies. And there's 7 All-Stars, a record for the Phillies, the 7 All-Stars. I don't know, Miguel, I'm just asking you, I'm just putting this out there because you just baseball knowledge is crazy for you. Um, what is the is there a or what is the record for one team? Do you know?
Not offhand. I know a lot of teams had like five or six. Like I know the Reds in the '70s, and the Phillies in the '70s would often have like five or six at a time. But I don't know what the absolute record is.
Okay, so we'll get into that. I'm gonna look into that in a little bit. But seven All Stars for the Phillies. And while I pull up the list real quick, we got one, two. Oh, I thought it was going to be more. You got two of them are homegrown coming through the Philly system. Um, Miguel having Phillies having seven All Stars in this All Star game. Two of them, only two of them being homegrown. I thought it was more. Um, what does that say about the Phillies as a franchise? The players that they are sending, being like the Trey Turners, the Bryce Harpers, and the homegrown guys like the Ranger Suarez, the Alec Bohm. What does that say about them as a franchise and as a system that they have accomplished this in this season?
It definitely says a lot, and I would say, especially for Suarez and Bohm, because of where they've been. Because remember, Suarez started out kind of like a pseudo bullpen guy, eater, kind of like an innings eater, and he kind of had a knock on him early on that he didn't throw hard, and he would only pitch like maybe 4 or 5 innings before being taken out. Now he's pitching like 100 pitch, 3 hit, 4 hit shutouts. But I think the biggest impression on me is for Alec Bohm because, you know, I've always liked his hitting, especially because he hits to all fields. His strikeout rate is going down a lot, so he's making more contact. He's one of the best like hardball contact hitters on the team. But more importantly, his defense has improved dramatically. And I believe, and I don't know their names offhand, but I know the Phillies went out specifically and got out and recruited 2 or 3 coaches to help with the Phillies defense specifically. Because even though I like Trey Turner a lot, and I've said this on multiple occasions in private and on the show, I don't care for him much as a shortstop because I just think he makes too many, like some of the harder plays. He makes them even harder sometimes, and it's just something that I see in his defense that I just don't. I'd rather put him in the outfield, to be honest, which is where he kind of started at in DC. Um, but and I'd rather call up. There's a guy named Sterling Cava, a Dominican kid, but he's only like 19, but he's doing great defensively or offensively in minor leagues. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the progress of Suarez and Bone because they've actually getting better and actually look stronger and are actually playing stronger. So out of everyone else, you kind of expect, like you said, the Harpers and the Turners and the Wheelers and stuff. I'm happy that Wheeler's farm harm has not fallen off yet. Because he's, on the, what do they say, the north side of 30, and that's usually that doesn't bode well for pitchers and running backs and you know cornerbacks or whatever.
Just to update you, it's 9-1 in the they're going into the bottom of the fifth, I believe. Just for some perspective, Miguel, when you and I first got on here, and you too, Rob, the score was 0-0. And I looked up, Trey Turner hit a grand slam, and it was 8-0. So they put some points up real quick in this game. Zach Wheeler's still in the game right now. I don't know how many pitches he's thrown, but he he's dealing. He's dealing. And to speak to what you were just saying, as far as the defense, that they recruited some more defensive coaches to help with the defense. They made some great plays in that first inning
Mm.
to get out of the inning, and quite a few plays that were made actually today have been pretty good plays that you can tell, you can see the difference in the defense from last year to this year. So there's definitely been some improvements from being a good team to being an even better team. Like you're a good team with a shaky defense to being a better team with a pretty solid defense now. And they're still looking for their outfielders. So I have a baseball question for you, Miguel. And I know I posed this question to you before on this show, but I forgot the answer, so I got to ask you again. Okay,
Yes, I would trade him. No, I'm joking. Go
we're not going to do that today.
ahead.
When people talk about how a baseball player should be hitting, or what the expectations of their bat should be when they play specific positions,
Mm.
why is that when positions positions don't score you runs, bats score you runs? So help me out with that again. I believe you helped me out with that once before.
I think what it really came down to is just the era, like tradition. So, like you and I growing up, what it was it like? You always had a small, like lefty or switch hitter at the top of your lineup who was always small and fast, and then the second hitter was like maybe not fast but made good contact, and then you had your power guys 3, 4, 5. Now, as far as positionally, I remember when I was somewhat being scouted. One of the things was, of course, I was too big, but I was also too short for the catcher position. Right now, fast forward 20 years later, and you got a guy in Toronto. What's his name? Kurt, who I didn't know was Dominican or whatever. He's 5'7" and like 290. I'm like, really? You know what I mean? Like seriously. So I think what happened was you had certain stereotypes, like in the 70s, what Mike Schmidt was your third baseman. He was pretty big. You had your Larry Boas, who were like little small scrappy guys, your Manny Trios or your Joe Morgans, who hit with a little bit of pop but had great gloves. And I think what kind of broke the mold, I would probably say, like if you go into like the 80s, Kyle Ripken was really the first person that was a big shortstop hitting home runs. That was not heard of. Then after that, it was with Alex Rodriguez, and that now you have like Francisco Lindor. So it's like I think nowadays you're kind of breaking away from the traditional stereotypes of positions, and like you said, it really just matters. It's more about the bats than it is like your position on the field. But I think that kind of tradition is kind of like done, so to speak. Just like when we were growing up, like when if you were starting pitcher, you were expected to go minimum 8 innings, get to the closer. Now you can go 5.5, 6, and now you got a lefty specialist, and now you have your setup guys, and then you have a closer. So in a given game, you average 4 or 5 pitches, whereas you and I growing up, they average like 2 or 3.
I got you. I got you.
So I think that we're slowly getting away from that tradition.
Yeah, and it's funny because sports are changing. I was just thinking, you have that right. So
Mhm.
you have that tradition with baseball. We've talked many times on this show about positionless basketball. Like that's a real
Mhm.
hot term now, positionless basketball, because of the way skill sets are now. Hockey has. I don't know what hockey has. I'm not a hockey guy. I'm not even going to act like I don't know what hockey has. I feel like hockey used to have like 7 guys on the ice per team, and now it's like 4 or 5. But I don't know. I'm not going to get into that.
I will say this though, like as a coach, like this weekend we were kind of shorthanded, and like when it comes to like the lineup, I'm very traditional. I want my fast guy, my on base guys at the top, and it worked out almost to perfection this week. But when it came to like who is at the top, like I have this one kid who is probably the smallest on the team, but he plays shortstop like I've never seen before. Um, and normally that's a kid that you put at the bottom of your lineup, but he plays with such he has such like great baseball IQ. Like if a player goes down 2 strikes and is 0-2, in your mind you're like, okay, let me set up for the next hitter. But it's like with this guy, if he goes 0-2, you almost think, okay, now is where he works the count and gets the walk. You know what I mean? Which is like unheard of in my opinion. Like most, even some of the coaches I have worked with in the past, that when you get up there, just attack and be aggressive and stuff like that. And I'm like, that could work, but if you're a little guy like that, like you kind of have to do things a little bit different. You know what I mean? You have to kind of like be like that mistake hitter. You know, you got to work the count a little bit. You got to see, okay, what's his secondary pitch and kind of work it a little bit and help the rest of the guys out in your lineup, which is why I think seeing pitches early on is more important than anything else.
All my baseball folks, Coach Santa just gave y'all an education. He just dropped some jewels. I hope y'all took some notes on that.
So,
He just dropped some things on you. Hit us up. Hit us up. Let us know your opinion. What you think about the Phillies having 7 All-Stars? Should there have been more? Should is somebody on there undeservedly? I don't think so. I think everybody deserved it. Should Bryson Stott have been on there? I don't know.
eh.
He's having a pretty good year. But hit us up 669-275-0548. That's 669-275-0548. That's the number to call to join us and let your opinion be heard. Of course, you can also join us on the chat. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/New Twist Radio. Now, as we switch it up a little bit, we know that in a couple weeks, the 2024 Paris, thank you. The Paris Olympics will be kicking off. And a couple weeks ago, we spoke about the women's national team and the controversy of the highly touted Caitlin Clark being left off the team and how that became such a big thing. Today, we're going to talk about the men. We're going to talk about the men's team today a little bit. The 2024 USA men's basketball team. And before we get into it, I want you guys to hit us up and let us know what your starting 5 would be for this year's team. What is your starting 5? I don't think there's any wrong answers, but it's crazy how on this team you got a starting 5, and there's got to be guys coming off the bench. There's got to be a 12th man. Like this team has a 12th man. So hit us up. Let us know what you think and what your starting 5 would be. But Rob, is this the most talented? Is this the most talented Team USA ever?
That's a tough question. But if we're going off of, I was just looking at the rosters, right? You look at the Dream Team roster. The only person that's not in the Hall of Fame is Christian Laettner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 11 out of 12. Are we getting 11 out of 12 on this roster? Probably not. But if we're talking about talent in terms of, they're definitely the most athletic. They're doing things that people weren't doing in '92. I guess you can say, yeah, then in terms of like talent, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm asking. Because do I think the Dream Team is better? Of course. Like they had Magic, they had Bird, they had Jordan. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think
come on, man.
you're talking about individual talent.
But talent wise, like if you go player for player and just think of the skill set,
player for player,
that's a tough question to answer.
Probably.
Probably.
But, probably. Oh, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. But
so I'm looking at the roster.
Right? I say that tongue in cheek.
I look at the roster. I'm looking at this roster, right? I'm looking at the years of birth, right? Steph Curry born in 88, Kevin Durant born in 88, LeBron born in 84, Tyrese Halliburton born in 2000, Anthony Edwards born in 2001. That's a pretty wide gap. Like I don't know if we've ever had got that kind of gap in an all-star. I mean, in an Olympic team before. That's interesting. That kind of speaks to we were talking about last week how a lot of older guys are being were being touted in the NBA free agency, and I'm just looking like LeBron is an older guy. Durant, it's funny to say he's an older guy. Um, Drew Holiday is kind of an older guy. He's born in 1990. Kawhi 91. So mm, it's kind of strange in a sense. I don't know, maybe because I'm just outside of that age group, but I'm not in anybody's age group. But when I look at the roster, right? I look at Bam out of bio, and I'm like, I'm taking all the Dream Team centers over him,
No, yeah.
like no doubt. Devin Booker, am I taking all the Dream Team guards over Devin Booker? Are you?
The Dream Team guards.
Yeah.
Oh, let me take it. Let me take a look at that. Let me take a look at that real quick. Where's my Dream Team? Yeah, we're talking Scotty, Clyde.
Hell no.
I am. I'm taking them over Devin Booker.
You're taking Scotty and Clyde over Devin Booker?
Yes, for
What
sure.
guards are you taking over Steph Curry?
I probably wouldn't take Clyde over Steph Curry.
Really?
That's fair.
Jordan Pippen.
Stockton's on that team too.
You know, I don't like this. I don't like this because the game is so different now. So it's like
It's tough. It's tough.
you need that shooter.
You
Scotty
do?
can't shoot it like Curry, but you definitely need defense with this international play as well. So it's like, and he's small, but look at these guards. The only small one was Stockton. Everybody else is 6'7".
Bigger. Yeah.
taller. Chris Mullins 6'7". Well, except Barkley like 6'5". But Barkley's a power forward. But Clyde 6'7", Jordan 6'6", Scotty 6'8", Larry Bird 6'9". These were some big dudes. When you go back and look at this roster, the only small dude was Stockton. Everybody else is
Yeah. And how tall are you again? Six.
me
Yeah.
6'8".
6'8".
Yeah.
So I'm looking at today's roster. You're taller than quite a few of them. All right. So the only ones taller than you are Bam,
All the little guys.
Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant,
Drew
Embiid,
Holiday.
and LeBron. No, LeBron's 6'8". So
Yeah. LeBron's taller than me.
Tatum 6'8", Kawhi 6'7". Are you taking what forwards are you taking over LeBron
On the Dream Team.
from the Dream Team? Yeah. Same question for you, Miguel. I'm gonna see if you chime in on this.
Over LeBron.
That's a tough question. I think that's a tough question.
Which dream team? Which dream? You looking at the '92 dream team?
92 Dream Team and this year's team.
So you're talking about
Barkley.
Scotty, Larry,
Mm-hmm.
and Mullen. Well, I can easily eliminate Larry. Larry wasn't. He
Dream
barely
Team
played.
time. Larry's back was in
Yeah,
7.
yeah. So we're torn between Scottie Pippen and Chris Mullin. I'm taking LeBron over
I'm taking
both.
LeBron over Chris Mullin. You taking LeBron over Scotty too?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking
That's
LeBron.
fair.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm taking.
Even though he's not my like, I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. Like I do acknowledge that he's. I mean, he's top three player of all time. Like so,
Mhm. You
What
got.
did,
I mean,
what did,
I'm taking him over Scotty Pippen.
what you gonna say, Miguel?
no, I was gonna say when he said he was top three all time. What is keeping him from being on his all time on your all time list? Besides the fact that he's not undefeated in championship games.
I think the just the dominance, man, that killer instinct. There's certain things that I look at that the typical fan won't look at when it comes to seeing if that person really has that like that dog, right? I give you one great example. Um, what was this 2020 Kobe passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did the whole, they took the break and then they came back and they're having their first game. This is LeBron's boy, right? They come out and get smacked. Like, you can't lose that game on your home court in LA. You're back in LA. Kobe just passed. Everybody's grieving. You come home to play. The building is packed. You get smacked by I believe it was the Trailblazers. I think Dame had like 46 or something crazy. Like that just
Hmm.
you can't allow that to happen. You can't allow that to happen. And I'm not trying to be mean or speaking, but Kobe was probably rolling over in his grave watching that shit.
So
Like,
for you, it's kind of like
can you imagine Kobe's face that
for
night?
you. For you, it's more
That.
for you as far as LeBron is concerned, it's more about how he plays the game, not necessarily what he does in the game. Like it's almost like it's more so like his approach, how he's approaching the game.
Exactly. It's like you come back, you do ring night and all this stuff. You losing on ring night. That's where you're supposed to secure your dominance. Like, yo, we were the champs. This like we them boys.
Mhm. I tell you
Like,
what, I was real disappointed when the Detroit Pistons lost on ring night to the was it Chicago Bulls after they got rid of Ben Wallace or something like that, whatever it was. But I was mad actually, and I'm not even a Pistons fan. Anyway, um, Miguel, you about to say something? I know you're a
But
Pistons fan. I mean, Philadelphia fan.
no, Pistons, man. No, the losing on big games. It always reminds me of kind of the chip I have about like with Iverson. Um, you know, I know Iverson's probably the most beloved Sixer of all time, but I always go back to like, did he do enough to try to win? Playing the game, I don't want to, practice and game, Did he go out there and ball out every night? Absolutely, he did. But I just don't think he ever made his team better, his teammates or the people around him better, because he was focused on how much he could give versus how he can lift the players around him.
See, I hate getting into that conversation because I want to say, part of me wants to say how much he had to give
I mean,
to carry a team.
I'm pretty big on that. I will say, man, Iverson. I don't agree with how he approached the game, how he prepared himself, but I will say that that dude got every bit of he used every ounce of potential and talent he got out of himself. Um, carrying himself in that manner. So that's without doing what you're supposed to do, like go to the weight room, take proper care of yourself. Um, to
Not
be honest with you, I don't know
just
how he
not
did it.
show up like this hungover.
Yeah, like practice. I don't know how he did it. Like he was that talented. He he used every ounce of talent in his being. He gave everything on the court. I don't know if he had a ton to work with. That's the way they built the team, you know.
Which I agree with. I know some of it does have to do with what you're. And I look at other players in other sports, and like if Randall had the offensive line that the Andy Reid Eagles had, he probably would have won like 5 or 6 Super Bowls and stuff like that. But you know, watching Iverson shoot like 60 or 70 times in a game, and I get that like he kind of had to do that because of the talent around him. But then again, it's like had he shown up to practice and done the things and worked on certain plays, could he not have made things a little bit better, not having to exert so much? Because how old was he when he retired?
I'm young, 34.
There you
34.
Now,
Like,
I think you're. I mean, you're. I'm a wholehearted believer in that, and just like improving, elevating your teammates.
hmm,
I think that Aaron McKee won the 1 year 6 man of the year. I think Aaron McKee was one of those guys that probably could gave you a consistent like 18 or something like that if you trusted him. I know they drafted. When did they brought in Stackhouse? I know they didn't work.
that was the year before. Yeah.
Stackhouse, they brought in what Larry Hughes and
Yeah, that didn't work out. So I mean that's part of it too. Him being able to coexist with the other person. I don't think that worked out. Um, but I mean, it took me a lot of years to learn how to accept people for who they are and how they approach the game. Like I'm not going to beat my head against the wall trying to get Allen Iverson to put in the extra work and practice and stuff. He's just not going to do it.
Question for you, Rob. From your experience as a professional basketball player, how much of a difference does it make at the professional level when one guy is not at practice? And a guy like maybe if even if it's the main guy, like you know.
That I mean that makes a big difference because you have to get accustomed to playing with that person,
Mm.
right? So I need to play with you enough to know uh, what would be your reads. Like people playing with me, you need to know where I like the ball. When I get the ball, where do I like you? Do I want you to cut through when I get it? Do I want you to just space to the corner? Do I want you to go screen away? All of those things that you got to know off of instinct from playing the timing, all of that stuff comes into play. That's why you see teams need to gel. Like if that's the case, then you just throw a team together and put them out there. But we see what happens when you do that. You can have all the talent in the world, but if they can't come together, you throw them out there on the court, they'll get beat by a good team.
The '08 men's Olympic team.
So you can't just put it, and that's why they started implementing those camps and stuff because we were just putting a team together thinking they were just going to blend like the dream team. That's a special group. I've been blessed to be part of that a few times in my career. Like it's just something special. You can't put your finger on it. You can't point to it. My last championship, I was playing for a coach that I just recently played with, hated his guts. We finished that season like I'm like, yo, if I never see this guy again in life, you know, and my agent called me, said, guess who wants you on the team? I'm like, who? He said the coach name. I was like, hell no. Are you tripping? But he was on the team. He was in the city. They had the money. So I called him back. I was like, you know what? If we have a sit down and we iron out our issues, then we can do something. We sat down. We ironed our issues. He came back and said to us in preseason that he's always been a defensive coach. He came and was like, hey, like 8-second rule, like play good defense. We run a fast break. First 8 seconds is a good shot. Put it up. I said, hold on a sec. Who are you and what did you do with the other coach? Like, what happened? But from day one, we would get shot clock violations because we're making the extra pass with each other. It was just natural. And then we ran through the season. When I tell you we were beating teams by an average of like 15, 19. Sometimes I didn't even play in the fourth quarter. And it's just something special to where it's special when you watch those teams, like you watch the Golden State Warriors those years and you watch the Bulls and you notice the calmness over them when you look at the score and they might be down like 10 points in the fourth quarter or something like that. And you notice that there's no panic. And you just know they're going to win. You just know. I'll look at the score. I'm like, damn, we're down 10. We'll come down. Stop. 3. Stop. Fast break layup. Stop. 3. Step. Next thing you know, we're up 5. Just like that. Like, it's crazy. It's something
you had that good cohesion.
Yeah, it's just something you can't
and a lot of that forms in practice.
Exactly. That's why training camp is there. That's why that's there. The most important part is coming together, man.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's fun. You know, it's funny. Piggybacking off that, I remember, and I think I told this to you, Justin, before. Remember when Allen Iverson came back to Philly the second time, right? And it was really everybody that was in the know knew it was really because the team was garbage and they needed to up the ticket sales, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So I remember it was in January of the year that he came back, and it was Iverson versus Kobe. And it was hype. The place was like, if it wasn't sold out, it was damn near sold out. He comes out, he kisses the floor, the Sixers logo, whatever. Doesn't start the game. He comes in like the second quarter and does the layup, John.
Wait, you
we lost your mic. Again. We lost your mic, Miguel. He was on the roll too. I don't know, did you kick the cord out? I don't know what happened when you now. Okay, hold on.
Now unmute yourself. Now unmute yourself. There
Check.
You go.
1 2 1 2.
There we
go.
You
go. Okay. Where was I?
You're reaching back here.
He did the layup thing.
Oh yeah, So he scored 20 points. He did the layup, John, where he gets he gets fouled or whatever, or he asks for the foul, whatever, that the traditional stuff, right? And I remember it was finally the end of the third quarter, and I just said to myself, I'm like, Sixers, Lakers, Kobe versus Iverson. And for whatever reason, I was like, I don't think we're going to win this game. Kobe scored 30 points just in the fourth quarter, and it was just like threes, you know what I mean, all day. And Iverson, like, this is when they had Iverson and for some ungodly reason, Chris Webber. And I was like, that was a telling moment for me. Like, the person that, like, had he just done some of the right things, could have done. I think personally there was a lot left on the table. I mean, as far as like his play on the floor, but as far as like what he could have done, because I always look back, like there's always talk about like Jordan and the team that he had. I believe that he never really had a true center. He never really had a true big man. You know, he had what I always forget the white dude that was a center, Cartwright or something.
No, Bill. Will
Bill and
Purdue, Luke Longley, Will Purdue, and Bill Whittington.
Right?
you go.
Like, I'm sure if somebody put out a trivia question, who was the starting center for the Chicago Bulls during the Jordan era, everybody's gonna be like, who? They had a center. You know what I mean? And that's where it was like, all right, he made the people around him better. Whereas Iverson didn't have to make the people around him better, but he didn't want to make the people around him better. And I think that's where my always it's just like with the Phillies and Ryan Howard. He left a lot on the table. Once everybody figured out all you got to do is throw him a curveball like high and you could literally throw it underhand and flow it. He's gonna miss it to the point where pitchers were laughing at him when they were throwing it, and you did not one damn thing to adjust. Philly should have 3 World Series, but they have 1. Sixers should have at least been to 2 more championships. They only went to 1. So I just think there was too much left on the table because of what he did not do or would not do to be a champion.
I think some of that. I think some of what lends into that, and not to sound like I'm making an excuse for him, but I think it might be
His entourage.
Athletes. I think we probably might be able to relate to what I'm about to say. Although he was as good as he was in basketball was like never a main thing for him. Just
True.
going off of like reports and stuff, like he wanted to play football. So
Right.
basketball it seemed like when you hear the story, it seemed like basketball was something that he just happened to be good at and got really good. But it was never really his, like somebody that grows up in the game, wants to play the game, wants to get out there and every day and they'll go out and go to the practices, the trainings. And like Rob was training in the summer, right? I don't know if Rob loved the game, but he liked it enough that he was going to train in the off seasons to be as good as he could be. And he made a career out of it.
Right.
Allen Iverson probably didn't love basketball, but he was just really good at it. So it was in a sense kind of like a paycheck. He was able to make a lot of money doing it, so I'm gonna do it.
I think he loved it. He just loved it from the hours of 9, and then
here's what you want to say. He loved the lights.
There you go.
I'm curious. We'll never know, but I'm curious if he would have carried himself in the same manner in football, because he wasn't into lifting weights and maintaining his body. You can't get away with that in football.
No, you can't.
So I'm curious.
That's a good. We'll never know, like you said, but that's a very good question. I would think if he went to the next level and played football and got hit, I would hope then it would say, "Oh, I need to get in the weight room. These boys are big," or it would have sent him to. I think I'll just go play basketball.
You're right.
Bro, that's the thing I try to tell people, man. Football has created more basketball players.
Yes, absolutely.
Basketball.
Listen, if I can tell you, I talk to a lot of these guys that I play with that are like very, that I came across that were very, very good. Could really score the ball, really great basketball players, right? And everybody has a story like, yo, I played football as a little. I played quarterback. I got hit this one time. I was like, yeah, nah. And I'm like, that's what it does, man. I keep trying to tell people they had that whole who was it? Was it Austin Rivers that said that crap about the NBA players to the NFL and then NFL players to the NBA, whatever? And I said, I'm sorry. Listen, I'm on the basketball side, but you're not taking no NBA players, throw them in the NFL. They may be able to acquire the skill set. You definitely need more skills to play basketball. They can acquire the skill set, but it's a different mindset. You can learn all the moves of receiver and become a route running extraordinaire. But once you hit that thing, you running across there and Ray Lewis standing there. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna take that hit. You might just get up and just walk to the sideline and right to the tunnel.
You might.
or you
Like
might even get up.
like
What-
algae growing.
So you got. I'm sure
Listen, I
y'all remember that.
I played high school football, right? I was pretty good at it, but I knew that, and I was supposed to go play college football. I had a scholarship to play uh, at IUP, and they were going to allow me to play both. And then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, I do love to catch the ball, but it's cold. It's cold out there, you know.
That's a factor.
And those hits and that ball, all that hit different when it's cold. When you ever hit your cold finger on a helmet or a face mask in the freezing cold?
You get smashed in between. Yes.
Oh my!
It's
Yeah,
painful.
you don't know the pain. You don't know the pain.
Yo,
I'm telling you, people don't understand. That's why I say I let them know. I was only at high school level. You have to be a little off to play football. You gotta be a lot of off. I was just a little off. You gotta be a lot of off to go all the way to the NFL, bro.
right.
Be different. You gotta be built different.
Yo, Rob was sitting there junior year. He's like, I'm making a business decision right to hell now.
Man, listen. And it's crazy because I didn't care to play defense. I just liked catching the ball, even though that's the most vulnerable position.
Especially with the quarterbacks that we had.
But I liked catching the ball. Yeah, he almost got me decapitated by Big Dan Owens in the
That's exactly why I said it.
Oh my goodness. This dude was a 6'3", 300-pound middle linebacker. And he threw it across, and thank God it was low. I slid down. That would not have been pretty.
300 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow. Middle linebacker laying dudes out.
I can't remember who it was during the championship game in my senior year, but I just remember the dude that I had to block because they played, I think, like a 3-4 or something. And he kept switching between tackle and nose tackle. And I just remember he was like 6'8" and like 370. And I made the dumb move. And this was against Frankfurt, so you might know who I'm talking about, Rob. But I made the dumb move to try to chop block him, right, at his kneecap. And I got him. I got a good shot in, but I don't remember walking back to the huddle and then coming back up to the next play. I don't know. I didn't even know what the play was. I'm like, okay. So I just went on the first move, and luckily it was a pass play. So, I just went back like that, and everybody else went back. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing the pass play, whatever we're doing. But I remember that was my first ever concussion.
They don't understand, man. They think these basketball, our builds are not. Listen, there was this little dude from I remember this little light-skinned dude from Germantown. He gave me a stinger. I could have had a concussion. I don't know, but he got me good. Ran me smooth over. Like that. Had some cash like this. Little. Listen. And then we played in Frankfurt. We got one of the. Remember this name? Anybody who follows high school football in the state of Pennsylvania, Eddie Gaskins. Dude was a grown ass man.
Yo, Eddie Gaskins was a
grown ass man.
He was a beast.
And I was I wasn't coming up there trying to tackle no damn Eddie Gaskins. You kidding me?
Whatever happened to Eddie Gaskins?
Him and all three of those guys, the linebacker that almost took my head off, Dan Owens, Eddie Gaskins, and the who was the mix between the power and the Fred Sample. I forget what they used to call him.
Yeah,
they all went to Utah State.
Utah State.
And then that wound up not working out. I don't know what happened. I saw him years later because he was friends with my brother, his best friend. I actually saw him at.
Because Eddie Gaskins broke the city record for rushing yards, I believe, in his junior year. And then somebody else had broke it. Somebody else had broke it from Frankfurt, and I think he was there that day, like 10 years ago. He was there to celebrate and whatnot.
But Eddie Gaston broke the state one, man, because Blair Thomas held that,
Mm-hmm.
and then Eddie Gaston broke it.
Yeah, I heard he kind of just like he was already kind of in a certain lifestyle and
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't really get out of it. You know, that's how it was explained to me,
Yeah.
and they left it at that. So it's like because
Yeah.
like he was going to Utah State, and then all of a sudden just disappeared.
But I think that, when you're a kid, when you're that age, you don't really know what you're walking into either. I don't even know if they did a. You can't tell me they did an official visit and they said, "Yeah, we're going to go to Utah."
I,
It had to be one of those things where they're going to take me even though my grades aren't. We're just going to go there because no way I'm going to Mormon land and I'm like, yeah, I want to come here. Nah.
I was expecting at least like I don't know LSU, Ohio State. Like I was expecting like this dude's going to going pro and going to like a Big Ten school or something. But
I think they may not have had the grades. I think they were like,
which unfortunately I think was a reputation of Frankfurt because I remember Frankfurt had a championship basketball team around that time. And I think the starting five never went to like class or anything, and they all wound up like never like applying themselves and doing anything. So it was, but it's like they kind of like cropped athletes, but not student athletes.
Yeah, I think around that time that might have been who's the basketball? Ronnie Conway.
Oh man,
Yeah,
names.
yeah. Those were the days. We lost 2 years in a row. Frankfurt and then Mass Bomb my senior year.
Man, that hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts to feel that because it's like
Drove me to play volleyball.
He always says that.
like that.
Listen, Miguel, I don't know if I not told you. Listen, we
Tell me
lost
that.
both of those championships.
Yeah.
Our gym, Mr. Cush, he was on us ever since I got there. Oh, you got to play volleyball. The how we thought as guys during that time, we were like, yo, volleyball for chicks. Like, I'm not playing volleyball. Till we lost 2 years in a row in championship. I was like, look, I gotta leave here with something. I gotta win a championship in something.
Like,
He came and knocking again. I'm like, well, what the hell? Sure, I'll give it a try, Mr. Cush. Me and Randy. Randy 17 and 0. I still got my jacket at my house. Undefeated season, baby.
Yo, you should hang that up on your wall behind you.
Yeah, I was a hell of a
who was your teammate? You Randy who?
Randy Dukes.
So funny, I used to follow his high school career, right? Funny story.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Morgan State, played basketball at Morgan State.
Yep.
Morgan State came to my school, right? And I knew who he was, right? I knew who he was. I knew where he was from. I don't know who it was, but somebody was giving him the business in the crowd. Like I don't know what they were saying. It was on the other side of the gym. I was on, I sit in the front row on the side that didn't have the benches. And he was I think he was having a rough game that day. Man, homeboy ran up in the crowd after this dude, man. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me not. He started to. I think the team grabbed him and kept him from going up there.
Yeah, he had temper. He had the temper on him.
I was like, whoo. I was like, I don't. Like, damn, Randy, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't rooting for the team, but I was rooting for him because I knew who he was. I didn't realize y'all were teammates. I didn't think that was the. I realized, yeah, that was the same era. Damn.
Yeah,
okay.
we were hell of volleyball player. I was a hell of a middle blocker. I couldn't pass worth crap, but you put me in that front line, do some damage.
There you go. He was
shout out to because the coach he was talking about was Cush. He passed. I think I I was following him on Facebook when Facebook kind of first came out, and I think he passed about like 7 years ago. But he was our phys ed teacher. He was the sweetest, kindest, like phys ed teacher you could possibly. He always had a smile on his face. He had like short, white, spiky hair, always cracking dirty jokes. He actually coached Charles Way,
Mm,
who wound up going to the NFL for the New York Giants briefly. Because
yeah.
Charles Way was a star at Northeast before I joined, and my oldest brother, he actually played for Frankfurt, um, and he was actually male athlete of the year in 1991 for football and for wrestling, and he wrestled against Charles Way, and he all like Kusha would always come up and tell me the story like you know yeah, he like my brother kind of made him cry or whatever. I think he injured him or whatever. Um, so I always remember Kush too because he saved my life. Because I think this is when pagers were starting to become like the thing.
Mhm.
And I had like my first pager that was like the C3 Motorola John that would like light up and stuff. And they were doing like random inspections. And they said if you're caught with one, you would get like a day suspension or whatever. And I think I saw him over at the store across the street. I was like, "Cuz, could you hook me up?" He's like, "Man, you gotta be kidding me." He had like 7 pagers in each pocket.
Everybody getting it.
In each pocket. So he was walking in, and he would always wear those really, really short gym shorts, like those
Mhm.
traditional. And he was walking in, and you just saw like each side was like lighting up like Christmas trees, like brr, brr, brr. And then we finally met up with him after lunch, and we were like, "Yo, thank you, Chris, man, you the man." He's like, "I'm tired of your crap. Don't bring crap cool." Like,
Yeah,
oh, I always remember that part about
yeah. Mr. Chris was always had a good spirit, man. He was always in good spirits.
him.
So I want to get to one more thing. Actually, I'm going to get to two more things. We don't have a lot of time left. I just want to ask you a quick question, Miguel. Quincy Wilson. He's from that area, from down in that area. He has been elected to go as an alternate and as a 4x4 relay alternate in the for the Paris Olympics.
Mhm.
Congratulations to him. Hell of an accomplishment. Youngest athlete, I believe, to ever go to the Olympics from the United States. Um, I'm just interested in the coverage, the type of coverage he's been getting down there in the DMV area. Has it been a lot? Like, has it
It,
been like?
yeah,
Well,
I would say especially the last week or two, he was on the local like Good Morning America or Good Morning Baltimore show. Because he's from Bowie, which is like 35 minutes south of Baltimore. And
mhm,
he goes to he's a junior at Bullis School in Potomac, in the
mm,
Potomac area.
going into his junior
What
year,
what school?
Bullis.
It's called Bullis, like bull,
Yeah, I
and
keep forgetting he high school. Jeez, that's
he's a
too.
junior. He's a junior.
Going
Uh,
to his junior year, he's got 2 more years of high school left.
but he broke the under 18 world record in the 400 meter twice. So he broke the record, then broke his own record. So it's pretty impressive. And of course, he's a young guy, and I think he seems kind of like still trying to get used to the limelight of it all and whatnot. But there's definitely a lot of coverage, a lot of support for him. Especially since he made the qualifier for the 400, right? The 400 team. Uh,
Yeah, he'll be on 4x4 on a 4x4 relay, or if not two, if he's not going to do the mixed and the men's, or whatever the case may be, could be
right.
on two relays.
If he takes care of himself and really goes into it, do he could actually go to 5 Olympics
Yeah.
because he's 16 now, 16, 20, 24, 28,
Yep.
and maybe 32.
So if he
36 is a little old. He want but
But
32.
Jackie Joyner do like 5 Olympics or something like that? Jackie Joyner Kersey, I believe.
I believe so.
I think she did like
What's her
five.
last Olympic? Her last Olympic was 92, I think.
No, I think she competed in '96.
Why don't I remember her in 96? Because
Because
she
96 was really all about Michael Johnson.
right, that's right. Because she became a star what 84 Olympics in the first in Los Angeles, and then 88 was in Seoul, Korea,
And 92 was Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Atlanta was 96.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely Michael Jackson because um I don't remember her in the '96 Olympics, but there was a lot going on that Olympic too. So, but yeah, he plenty of coverage on him. There's something on him, in the paper every day. Just people showing their support and um, looking forward to the qualifying rounds of the Olympics, which is coming up soon.
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to look up Jackie Joyner real quick. Give me one moment.
Hold please while I direct your call.
She four.
There's four
Okay.
Olympics.
All right. All right. I don't need. Okay. Yeah, four. So the first one was,
First,
it doesn't say. But you're saying the first one was 84 in LA.
84, 88, 92. No, then it would have been 90. She would have been in 96 would have been her last. So if it's 84, 88, 92, and 96. So that's four Olympics.
Four. Yep. Okay. So yeah, so Quincy Wilson, if he takes care of himself, he could be in five, maybe even more. I mean, look, the way things are going now, you got Tom Brady playing football in his 40s. LeBron could possibly be playing basketball into his 40s. Track is a rough sport to compete in when you're getting older, but the way training and science and everything is now, he could maybe six. Could he compete at 36? You never know.
Mm.
You never know.
That's tough because you heard about Gabby Douglas attempting a comeback after her hiatus, and she
Mhm.
came up a little bit short, and had to pull out and due to injury and whatnot. But she more so left because of she got tired of the sport and wanted to get the love back. So kudos to her, but
It's hard to
it's
come back to a sport when you've been sitting
yeah.
out home.
So, do you guys think that any one of these females can break FloJo's record, 10.49? The closest has been 10.5,
10-5, right?
10.54.
I think you talking about in this Olympics.
Yeah, Shakari's fastest has been 10.65.
I
She can do it. I don't know about this Olympic though.
here I'm going to say I want to say yes, right? And I never even thought of, like, before you asked the question, I was like, it's untouchable. Nobody's touching it. But I want to say yes only because you said Sha'Carri ran a 10.6. I think Jack was it Jackson and Jamaica ran a 10.59 or 10.5 something. I forgot.
Elaine Thompson Hera
Thompson.
ran
Okay, Elaine Thompson.
10.54.
So
Then you got Shelly Ann Fraser Price 10.6.
so
Carmelita
I'm thinking
Jeter 10.64.
if if the track in Paris is a fast track and people at run track understand what I'm saying, um, I think it could happen because Elaine Thompson Harrow is very close. Is she even in this Olympics? Elaine Thompson. It's very close. I think it could happen in this Olympics if the track is fast because these women are flying. They're absolutely amazing. And the 100-meter dash on the men's and the women's side has been like ridiculous from high school on up this year. Like people have been running some very fast times this year. So if that's a fast track in Paris, expect to see a lot of world records broken. Okay, I don't know which ones, but if that FloJo one goes down, I for one will be surprised. Even though I'm saying it could happen. I will be shocked because that's one. Like there's the Wilt 100. I feel like is untouchable, even though Kobe got real close. And I feel like if somebody really focuses and has that night, they could do it. But Wilt's 100 is one of them untouchable ones. Flo Joe's was probably the other untouchable one for me. Now, man, I, it was crazy. So, I don't know. Miguel, I'm sorry. Did you comment on that? Mike, Rob got me all excited with that question. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I wasn't saying I see it happening. I'm not sure if it's going to be this Olympic, but I want to see more of like what I've seen from Shikari so far has been nothing short of amazing. Because I think she had that one, like she slipped out of the gate and like reset herself and still won um, fairly decisively. So it's like, I'm rooting for her to do it, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see.
We got one last thing.
Oh.
Let me get him out of here. You got a big dummy, Miguel.
Should I say that it's a tie?
Okay, give them both of us. I'll give us both of them. There you
So
go.
the first big dummy we kind of touched on. Yeah, speaking of touch, your boy from WIP, Sir Howard Erskine, for forcing himself upon what? Like, dude, you're 73, you're married. You had an issue back in the 90s where you gave flowers to a young lady and got her killed. Like, seriously?
Damn, I didn't know about that.
So there was, I mean, it was a misunderstanding, but it was a, let me see if I can find, I can't remember the name of the woman, but it was apparently, he was just an acquaintance. It was not an affair. But the woman that he gave flowers to was married to somebody on the main line that was famous at the time for whatever, and he wound up killing her.
Mm.
And it kind of ties into WIP also being the big dummy for not saying a word about it on their shows, to the point where his son is even like on the afternoon, the drive schedule or whatever. And he hasn't said anything about it. And anybody that attempts to call the show to talk about it gets hung up on. So,
You can't talk about that right now.
what'd you say?
They can't talk about that right now. They're not gonna. They're not gonna
But
allow
see,
people to talk about that.
but again, like I believe Angelo Cataldi did. He had like his own like podcast or whatever, and he talked about like this is what we talk about because Philadelphians like to talk. And when that thing was going down with Eskin and the whole murder case, they talked about it. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you all of a sudden be a talk radio show and not talk about anything related to Philly sports? You know what I mean?
That's a good point. It's in this day and age. Like for instance, if Miguel, if you got in trouble for something like that, and people wanted to call this show and talk about it, I'm like, no, we ain't talking about that right now. We're not going to talk about that. We'll address that at another time.
But somebody was saying that I think that the reason why he's even been silent because he has a Saturday show that he didn't do this past week. But he's been silent, or they've been silent, as well as WIP, for the simple fact that they want to gauge the outrage and then make a decision based on that.
That's very possible.
I mean, and there's people that have commented like former, like Mike Missinelli, who to this day still still hates his guts. Says that there's not a morning that he goes by where he wishes he could punch him in the face, even today.
Mike Missinelli was a young boy when Howard Eskin was like really in his heyday here.
Yeah.
And I heard he gave a lot of people a hard time coming up.
Yeah.
All of them came through the WIP rank. So
yeah. So the other big dummy, which would be the other big dummy, would be the New York football Giants, who are on the that show Hard Knocks. In one of the segments, they actually show the meeting between the general manager and all of his staff as they're discussing like salary cap and everything like that. And they have a conversation about Saquon Barkley, and this was around the time where they were deciding whether they want to keep him or whatnot. And the GM for the Giants is quoted as saying, "In a perfect world, I'd still like to have him back, but just until we can prove that we can have a decent offense without him." And this was the Giant. This actually was the Giants owner, John Mara. He said on the premiere of Hard Knocks. So yeah.
Well, I'm not understanding that. Wait a minute. Speak on why they did not. In a perfect world, I'd still like to have him back just until we can prove. So you would like to have him back until you can prove that you're a decent
What
off.
what they're trying to say is we're going to focus on the offensive line first, and then probably sign him back on the back end once we have an offensive line, versus him signing with a team that already has an offensive line in the Eagles. So the theory is, and some teams do this, they want to build from the inside out, so we're going to build our offensive line, which is not a bad strategy. It's like, but why didn't you do that first and then get your running back versus get your running back, then the quarterback with no offensive line?
I got you. Well, either way, WIP, Howard Eskin, New York Giants. There you have it.
Big dummies.
I hope y'all heard that. I didn't barely hear that. I just hope y'all heard that. That's probably why I played so many times. I didn't realize. But anyway, it is what it is. Y'all stupid. Anyway, we gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the CheckSwing podcast. Any last words? All right, any last words?
Jay, we gotta touch on the who the rookie of the year is.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you have that.
WNBA rookie of the year.
Yeah. So Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. There's been some talk lately ever since Rob said what he had to say, and Angel heard what he said. And
I was actually very nice on that one. So here's my thing.
You were nice.
She's doing her thing right. She's getting these double doubles. The girl's shooting like 30-something%.
I'm talking about Angel Reese
from two. So how many of them offensive rebounds are you just missing layups? As a big, you have to shoot at least 54%. At least. She's not shooting a bunch of jump shots or threes. She don't shoot threes. Why are you shooting 34% from the field? I can't get up with that.
So you're saying she's not even in that rookie of the year conversation for you?
I can't get up with that. No, I mean she has to be. She's in the conversation. Okay. Caitlin Clark is not shooting the best either from three, but she shoots just about the same percentage from three that Angel Reese is shooting from two.
Caitlin Clark also has quite a bit of turnovers,
and she's leading. Yeah, she's leading turnovers. So, I think they're at the halfway point now.
Just about.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how to turn around. She definitely need to get that shooting percentage up, and Caitlin Clark definitely need to get her shooting percentage up because that's what she's known for, and get them turnovers down.
Don't get that shooting percentage up. That star money ain't gonna happen. Miguel, question for you on this: Angel Reese, does she get a lot of press down there in the DMV area? She's from Baltimore, correct? St. Francis High School, St. Francis Academy, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's some local bias towards her, but of course, the conversation was, when Caitlin Clark was complaining about, the rough fouls or whatever, that a lot of people were complaining about it being, a race thing, and but like Rob has, provided, the numbers don't lie; they kind of speak for themselves. So, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of hate towards Caitlin, I will say.
Okay. Okay. It is going to be interesting coming down the stretch. I guarantee you that it's interesting now. It's interesting now, but coming down the stretch, it's definitely going to be like I'm looking forward to hearing the debates and the conversations
Yeah.
of, of that whole rookie of the year situation.
Speaking of debates and conversation, this is gonna be like a carryover to next week. But
Mhm.
a fellow Dallas Cowboy fan, who I want to call out for being a Cowboys fan, number one, and uh, being a jackass, number two. He sent me a thing about being able to handle um, criticism about the Eagles and using our bias glasses about the comparison between that one Sir Dak Prescott and one Sir Jalen Hurts. The person is speaking on FS1 about how Dak Prescott is actually a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And that the only thing Jalen Hurts is good at is the run option and the tush push. So something to kind of carry over into next week. And I challenged this person. I said, "Why are you so scared to call?" He said, "I'm not scared. I'm just protecting your show. I don't want them to know that you're the quote unquote make the Eagles great again platform is weaker than MAGA." Um, so after that, we started
Our
just talking.
platform is mega as opposed to
We
MAGA.
got we got
I,
we got real
I,
we got real social media beef over here, Jay.
yeah, yeah, I know, but he won't come on this. I've tried to get him to come on the show and call the show, and he just won't because he's a Cowboys fan.
Is
But
he
that's
the same person that comments sometimes?
yes,
Gotcha. Okay, we haven't
yeah,
seen him comment in a
I'm,
while.
I don't know
yeah,
how you can say that. I mean, Jalen Hurts is taking his team to the Super Bowl. I mean, Dak Prescott hasn't yet.
and he's still stepping out of bounds on the 1 yard line, like a dope.
And Jalen Hurts took his team to a Super Bowl. No, they didn't win, but he took his team to a Super Bowl in a year that nobody was even expecting them to sniff the Super Bowl.
Should have won. Oh,
Should have won the Super Bowl.
he outplayed
And we're
home.
still waiting for the Cowboys to sniff an NFC championship game.
Well, this person can sniff something I can't say on the air, but we can kind of, you know, we can, save that conversation for next
If
week.
you if you
So,
and I'm
let's
gonna
just-
say that I'm just gonna say this last thing, and then I'm gonna leave it alone because you can't just fire me up like that, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to get somebody fired up. Well, you got me, and I can't, don't want to say nothing. And I
no,
feel like I lost my train of thoughts. I might be able to save it for next week.
no Diddy, Miguel.
Oh man! All right.
I love it.
We're going to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us on the Check Swing podcast. Make sure you check us out next week when we talk more about why the Cowboys suck. Peace out, y'all.
Bam! Dallas sucks.